Sam Rodriguez looked at the email on his laptop screen for the 10th time. The Golden Bakery competition was accepting entries, and winner would get $10,000 to start their own bakery. Sam had always dreamed of opening his own place, but he had never entered a real competition before. "I'm not good enough," he said to himself, closing the laptop quickly. Sam worked at Corner Café, making sandwiches and simple pastries. He wasn't a real chef. He didn't go to cooking school like the other people who would enter this competition. His phone rang. It was his sister Maria. "Hey Sam, did you see that bakery competition? You should enter." "I can't," Sam replied immediately. "I'm not ready. Those other people are professionals. I just work at a small cafe." "So what? You make the best bread I've ever tasted. Remember when you made that chocolate cake for Mom's birthday? Everyone loved it." Sam smiled, thinking about that cake. He had stayed up all night making it perfect, trying different recipes until he found the right one. But this competition was different. This was serious. "I need more time to practice. Maybe next year." "Sam," Maria said firmly, "you've been saying next year for 3 years now. Sometimes you just have to do it anyway." After hanging up, Sam walked to his small kitchen. On the counter were recipe books, some old and some new. He had been collecting them since he was 16, when he first discovered he loved baking, but he had never thought he was good enough to compete with real bakers. The next morning at work, Mrs. Chen noticed Sam seemed worried about something. "What's wrong, Sam? You're usually happy in the morning." Sam told her about the competition and how scared he was to enter. Mrs. Chen listened carefully, then said, "Sam, you know what I think? I think you're already better than you believe. The customers always ask who made the morning bread. They love your work. But this is different. This is a real competition with real judges. So what? You think those judges don't eat bread every day like everyone else? Good food is good food, Sam. It doesn't matter if you learned in a school or in a small cafe." That afternoon, Sam's best friend Jake came to visit him at work. "Maria told me about the competition. Are you going to enter?" "I don't think so. I'm not ready." Jake looked surprised. "Remember in high school when you were too scared to try out for the soccer team? You said the same thing, but when you finally tried, you made the team." Sam remembered. He had been so nervous that first day, but he had played well. Not perfectly, but well enough. "This is different, Jake. If I fail at this, everyone will see. The judges, the other competitors, maybe even people on TV. And if you don't try, you'll never know what could have happened. You'll spend the rest of your life wondering what if." That evening, Sam went home and looked at the competition rules again. He had to make 3 items: bread, a cake, and something creative of his own choice. The competition was in 6 weeks. 6 weeks to prepare for the biggest opportunity of his life. He was terrified. But maybe that was okay. Sam decided to call his uncle Roberto, who had worked as a chef for 20 years before retiring. "Uncle Roberto, I need advice. There's this competition and—" Sam explained everything. Roberto listened without interrupting. "Sam, let me tell you something. In 20 years of cooking, I learned that the best cooks aren't the ones who never feel scared. They're the ones who cook even when they're scared. But what if I embarrass myself? What if you don't? What if you're better than you think? What if this changes your whole life?" Roberto paused, then continued. "I remember my first big job interview. I was so nervous I could barely speak. But I got the job because the manager saw that I really cared about food. Passion matters more than perfection, Sam." After talking to Roberto, Sam felt a little braver. He opened his laptop and looked at the application form. His hands shook as he typed his name and contact information. When he got to the part where he had to describe his experience, he stopped. 2 years at Corner Café, making bread and pastries. It looked so small compared to what other people might write. But then he thought about Maria's words. Sometimes you just have to do it anyway. Sam took a deep breath and clicked submit. The next 6 weeks were intense. Sam practiced every day after work and on weekends. He made bread until he could do it with his eyes closed. He tried different cake recipes, testing them on his family and friends. For his creative item, Sam decided to make something special, empanadas with a sweet filling inspired by his grandmother's recipe, but with his own twist. It combined his family's tradition with his love of pastry. Some days, Sam felt confident. His bread turned out perfectly, his cake was light and delicious, but other days, everything went wrong. His bread didn't rise properly, his cake fell in the oven, his empanadas burned. Maybe I should quit, he told Maria after a particularly bad practice session. I'm just not consistent enough. Sam, Maria said, even professional chefs have bad dates. The difference is that they keep trying. They learn from their mistakes. Mrs. Chen also encouraged him. She let him use the cafe's kitchen after closing time to practice. You're getting better every day, she told him. I can see the improvement. Jake also helped, tasting everything and giving honest feedback. This bread is perfect, he'd say, or the cake needs more vanilla. Having friends who believed in him made him less alone in his preparation. 2 weeks before the competition, Sam had a breakthrough. Everything came together perfectly. The bread was golden and soft, the cake was moist and flavorful, and the empanadas were crispy outside with a perfect sweet filling. This is it, he thought. This is what I'll make at the competition. The morning of the competition, Sam woke up with butterflies in his stomach. He had barely slept, going over his recipes in his mind again and again. The competition was held in a big kitchen at the Culinary Institute downtown. When Sam arrived, he saw the other competitors setting up their stations. They all looked so professional, with expensive knives and equipment. Sam felt out of place with his simple tools from home. Welcome, competitors, announced the head judge, Chef Martinez. You have 4 hours to create your 3 items. Remember, we're looking for taste, presentation, and creativity. Good luck. Sam looked around at the other competitors. There was a woman who introduced herself as a graduate of the Culinary Institute, a man who owned his own restaurant, another woman who had competed in cooking shows on TV. What am I doing here? Sam thought to himself. But then he remembered Roberto's advice. Passion matters more than perfection. Sam took a deep breath, put on his apron, and started working. Sam began with his bread, mixing the dough carefully. His hands moved automatically. He had practiced this so many times. Around him, the other competitors worked quickly and confidently, but Sam tried to focus only on his own food. The first hour went well. His bread dough was rising perfectly, and he had started on his cake batter. But during the second hour, disaster struck. Sam accidentally added salt instead of sugar to his cake batter. He tasted it, and his heart sunk. It was ruined. For a moment, Sam panicked. He wanted to give up. This was exactly what he had been afraid of, failing in front of everyone. But then he heard Maria's voice in his head. Do it anyway. Sam threw away the ruined batter and started over. He worked faster than he ever had before, but carefully. His hands were steady, his mind focused. He had practiced this recipe dozens of times. He could do it. With 30 minutes left, Sam put his empanadas in the oven and started decorating his cake. His bread was already cooling on the rack, golden brown and perfect. The sweet smell of his empanadas filled the air. Time, called Chef Martinez. Sam looked at his 3 creations. They weren't perfect. His cake decoration was simpler than he had planned, but they were his, made with all his heart and skill. The judges tasted everyone's food carefully, making notes and discussing quietly among themselves. Sam watched nervously as they tried his bread, his cake, and his empanadas. Chef Martinez smiled when he tasted the empanadas. "Interesting combination," he said. "Very creative." After what felt like hours, the judges were ready to announce the results. "This was a difficult decision," Chef Martinez began. "All of our competitors showed skill and creativity. However, one person impressed us not just with technique, but with heart and originality."
Sam's heart was beating so fast he could barely hear. The winner of this year's Golden Bakery competition is Sam Rodriguez. Sam couldn't believe it. The other competitors clapped, and the judges shook his hand. Chef Martinez explained that while Sam's technique wasn't the most advanced, his flavors were exceptional, and his empanadas were a perfect blend of tradition and innovation. "Sometimes," Chef Martinez said later, "the best food comes from cooks who bring their whole selves to their cooking." Sam, your passion for baking shows in every bite. Sam opened Abuela's Kitchen 6 months after winning the competition. The bakery was small, but always busy, filled with the smell of fresh bread and the sound of happy customers. On the wall hung a photo from the competition, and next to it, a simple sign that Maria had made for him: "Do it anyway." Every morning, as Sam mixed his first batch of bread dough, he thought about how different his life might have been if he had listened to his fears instead of his dreams. He still got nervous sometimes when trying new recipes or meeting with suppliers, but he had learned that being scared and being ready weren't the same thing. A young woman came into the bakery that morning, looking nervous. "Excuse me," she said to Sam. "I heard you teach baking classes. I've always wanted to learn, but I don't think I'm very good at cooking." Sam smiled, remembering his own fears just 1 year ago. "The best time to start learning," he told her, "is right now. Even if you don't feel ready, sometimes you just have to do it anyway." Vocabulary words used in the story. Competition. A contest where people try to win by being the best. Example: the Golden Bakery competition was accepting entries. Professional. Someone who does a job that requires special training, expert level. Example: I'm not ready. Those other people are professionals. Recipe. Instructions for cooking or baking something. Example: he had been collecting them since he was 16. Nervous. Feeling worried or scared about something. Example: I was so nervous I could barely speak. Consistent. Always doing something the same way. Reliable. Example: I'm just not consistent enough. Improvement. Getting better at something. Example: I can see the improvement. Breakthrough. A moment when you suddenly succeed or understand something. Example: 2 weeks before the competition, Sam had a breakthrough. Equipment. Tools or machines needed for a particular job. Example: they all looked so professional with expensive knives and equipment. Presentation. How something looks when it's shown to others. Example. We're looking for taste, presentation, and creativity. Technique. A skillful way of doing something. Example. While Sam's technique wasn't the most advanced, his flavors were exceptional. Innovation. A new idea or way of doing something. Example. A perfect blend of tradition and innovation. Passion. A strong feeling of excitement or love for something. Example. Your passion for baking shows in every bite. Opportunity. A chance to do something good or successful. Example. 6 weeks to prepare for the biggest opportunity of his life. Confidence. Feeling sure about yourself and your abilities. Example. Some days, Sam felt confident. Encourage. To give someone support and hope. Example. Mrs. Chen also encouraged him.